I'm more spiritual. I'm more conscious. I'm better than you.
This is The Deep Dive with AdamRoa.
What's up, Deep Divers? Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Deep Dive podcast. I am here, let me adjust that mic right there. I am here today to talk about the bullshit that I see happening in the quote unquote conscious / spiritual communities. And I'm kind of tired of it. So I'm a little fed up, and I wanted to speak to that. So before I do that, let me just ask a favor. Let me ask a favor. If you get value out of this podcast, if you would like to support it in some way, please leave a review on iTunes. Subscribe on iTunes or YouTube or Spotify. Please share it out. Let people know about it, because that is the way that it continues to grow and we can get the word out. And if you are a part of the Deep Divers, I imagine that you want more people to have access to this information, not because it's necessarily right, but because my goal with it is to encourage thought and to encourage discussion. I love when I get messages from people saying that they sent it to their boyfriend or their husband or their mom or dad, and they had a whole talk about it. That's one of my favorite messages to get. So I'd like to ask that, and also just invite you to thecreatecommunity.com. CREATE stands for the collective renaissance of education, art, transformation, and entertainment. And we are putting on free daily classes online, yoga, cooking class, singing lessons, all kinds of different things. So it's completely free. I'd love to see you there. And now let's get back to the bullshit. Let's get back to the BS that I'm seeing happen that has annoyed me for a really long time. And I've kind of kept my mouth shut on it because I've almost felt that by talking about it, by saying how much I dislike it, I was somehow falling into the trap of it, which is this kind of spiritual bypassing and spiritual elitism that seems to take hold within these communities. And I consider myself to be a part of many of these conscious communities. And if I could describe that for people who are like, what is a conscious community? Basically, it is a group of friends who are all connected by like a degree of separation, who are very much about personal development, spiritual growth and evolution, and, health and wellness often falls into that. The friends that you make go into yoga classes and sound baths and meditations, and people that you can talk about that sort of stuff with, that forms this community. And I'm blessed to have several of them, some of them, within Bali, some of them in Southern California, and they exist all over the place. And in them is this certain behavior that I've seen happen over and over, time and time again, which we can call it spiritual bypassing, we can call it spiritual elitism, we can call it whatever we want. But basically what it is that wrapped up in the persona of being more loving, of being more deeply connected, by being more spiritual, that because someone believes they are that thing, they can pass judgment on others and shoot down opposing viewpoints and beliefs through the lens of, I'm more spiritual, I'm more conscious, I'm better than you. Because that's really what it comes down to. I'm better than you. My consciousness is more evolved. I get this spirituality thing just way better than you do. And it's so frustrating to me, because I believe that the spiritual movement, the new age spiritual movement, this like vast amount of people who are waking up to the power of meditation and to things like yoga and sound healings and plant medicines. I think that movement is incredibly important. I think that it is a great thing to be happening on this planet. And I think that it can really be like a snake eating its own tail. It can harm itself if we in this community don't catch ourselves doing this elitism thing. I see it. I think it's actually at this point probably become a common experience for a lot of people that they've experienced within the vegan communities. And if you're vegan, I love you. I love you so much. I imagine that you're vegan because you think it's going to make you healthier, A, or B, because you see a major moral issue with how we treat our meat, the consumption of meat, how the meat industry is impacting our environment. And so I know that if you're a vegan, you care. Like you care a lot, enough to change your eating habits into something that's actually more difficult to do. It is harder to be vegan than it is to eat meat. I mean, meat is everywhere, right? And so I appreciate you. I want to say that outright. I also want to add that some of the most inflammatory, mean-spirited, judgmental comments and messages and words that I've ever gotten have come from angry vegans who have been upset with me for not being vegan, who have been upset with me for speaking about why I don't actually think that veganism is the answer, and speaking about these things. And I think I may have done a podcast on this. I know I did multiple Facebook Lives on it back in the day. And you can rest assured that I'm the type of person that before I even speak on that, I've done a bunch of research. I've thought a lot about it. It's not that I don't read the research papers on veganism. I also read a lot on meat consumption. And so I don't believe, just for everyone who's wondering, I don't believe that there is one diet that is right for everyone. I don't believe that there is one diet that is superior to another diet. So that's where I go to. I don't want to go down into that. My point is that now most people I know have experienced angry vegans. They've experienced that. And that's such a detrimental thing to do. PETA throwing, like these PETA people, like throwing red paint on people, like that is such a detrimental thing to do, because what you're doing now is you're making yourself the enemy. It's becoming something where people are scared of you or they're mad at you. Either way, it's putting up walls between you and the people that you would like to adopt your level of care. That's the thing, right? Are you trying to convince people that they have to do exactly what you want them to do? Or are you actually just trying to get people to open up to care more, to open up their hearts to new ideas? Like if you are a vegan and you decide, I want to just be the most loving, compassionate, show people how much I care about animals, show people how much I think about this stuff, whatever, and you got the people around you to just eat less meat, is that not good? Is not better for you in the world that you would like to see? But it doesn't help to be angry. It doesn't help to make people feel less than. And there was something that happened just recently today where I'm in one of these threads that has like 100-something people in it on WhatsApp. So all these messages, and it is composed of, quote unquote, the spiritual community, one of the big communities that I'm a part of. And there has been a lot of arguing in that community. There's been a lot of judgment passed in that community, specifically around coronavirus, brought up by the coronavirus. Initially with how people were responding to it, were people taking it seriously or not? Now it's gotten into this conspiracy theory realm. Someone posted something about the Bill Gates and the vaccination conspiracy theories around that. And other people got really upset because, for those of you who don't know, Bill Gates has basically given more money to philanthropic uses and done so much good for this planet that it really offends some people to attack Bill Gates and say that he wants harm to the planet, because a lot of his other actions say differently. And I'm not here to talk about whether that's right or wrong. I'm not here to say whether Bill Gates is an angel or a devil. I'm not here for any of that. What I'm here to tell you is that even within the New Age spiritual conscious community, people are arguing about that. And people saying, you're not being helpful. You should think more about what you say instead of just bringing this blah, 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 blah. And like the arguing that goes into it. And then there was a post. There was a post within the community where someone said, and I would normally read this to you, but I feel like for some level of confidentiality of what's posted in there, I'm not going to share it publicly exactly word for word. But what was posted by someone was a really loving message that said, people are doing the best, blah, blah, blah. My invitation is that we start sharing from a space of, facts and information. There's so many brilliant people here, like the information and the knowledge, we should share those. And then my second invitation is that we create a better world together. And I can assure you that that is not by pointing the blame at one of the biggest philanthropists of our time. And then there's blah, blah, blah. It was a really long message and it was beautifully written. It was obviously well thought out. And I could tell this person really cared. And yet, immediately following his invitation to create a better tomorrow, there was the statement, I can assure you that's not done by blaming essentially Bill Gates. What that statement does is actually say, the subtext of that statement is, if you blame Bill Gates, or if you think Bill Gates is a problem, you are not creating a better tomorrow. That's the between the lines of that. If you want to actually help this planet, you don't believe this. And it's wrapped in such beautiful language. It's wrapped in such a caring heart because that person does care. But I believe that person wasn't even actually aware that what they were doing was shutting other people down from a space of, I know what a better world looks like, and it doesn't look like this. I know what creating a better tomorrow looks like, and if you believe this thing over here, you're wrong. You're creating a worse tomorrow. Understand, and I responded. I took 30, 40 minutes to actually construct my response to this, which is synthesized into this right now. Everyone is doing the best they can to create a better tomorrow. The people you disagree with, they are trying to create a better tomorrow. The tomorrow they think is better. This goes to everything that seems to be so divisive right now, with people who want to vote for Trump, people who don't want Trump to be reelected, people who want gun control, people who don't want people who are pro-abortion or not, or like whatever it is. These are not people trying to create a worse world. Everyone on both sides, on all sides, because it's not even black and white. There's a 360, 720. It's like a whole thing, right? Everyone is doing their best to create a better tomorrow. What that looks like to you may be different than what it looks like to them, but it is a disservice for you to enter into a conversation assuming that your tomorrow is better than their tomorrow. I believe I have lots of ideas on how to create a better tomorrow, and I'll get into discussion with you about why I think things like gun control to some degree is a better tomorrow. Am I the person who says get rid of all the guns in the United States? If I could flip my fingers, maybe I would do that. I actually don't know. That's not personally what I'm fighting for, but I personally think some like extended background checks and restrictions on like automatic weapons and just like things like that, I don't think that those are a bad idea. I think that would be a better tomorrow in terms of what I see. Do I assume I'm right? No, but I would love to be in conversation with someone around why I think that and why they think otherwise, because they may have reasons that I haven't even considered. Because guess what? If I think that gun control is the better option, I'm going to look through the lens of that being a better option. So all of the research that I do, I'm going to be filtering it through the lens of my own bias. which is why someone who's so loving and takes the time to write this beautiful message in this WhatsApp group is still unable to see in the moment their own bias, implying that if you don't agree, you're not creating a better tomorrow. This is, and when we wrap it in those things, like when we wrap it in the ideas of what is more conscious or less conscious, by the way, it's all conscious. When we talk about consciousness, I use the word awareness as often as possible because consciousness has so many other implications and people think it means so many things. I just replace consciousness with awareness. I believe that when we expand our consciousness, what we're doing is we're expanding our awareness. We are becoming more aware. When I become a more conscious individual, I'm becoming more aware of myself. I'm becoming more aware of the world around me. That's why when you say, "Oh, are you aware of what's going on in the world around factory farming? Are you woke?" People are using that because are you becoming more aware of really what goes on with the factory farming system? Are you becoming more aware of the plastic pollution and the climate change issue? Are you becoming more aware of the reasons why you act out or get jealous or are in a depression? Are you becoming more aware? Are you becoming more conscious? That's what the personal development path is, in my opinion, is to become more aware, to become more conscious. And it is in that awareness, in that consciousness, we have the opportunity to recognize that if we make our awareness mean that we are better than other people, if we make our awareness another dogma where I'm aware of this thing now, so you have to be aware of it too in order to be as spiritually woke as I am, it's a huge disservice to the entire movement. It's a huge disservice to the entire community. And it is no different than all of the other old paradigm bullshit that has been going on for forever about I'm better than you because I believe this thing. Spirituality does not just get to be another one of those. I'm more spiritual than you, therefore you have to do what I say. Then it's just like the way religion's been used throughout all time. It's the way that politics have been used. It's the way that we have tried to position ourselves as a humanity to feel better, to coerce people into things. And at the end of the day, we're in this together. At the end of the day, it's not my ideas that are going to save this planet. It's our ideas that are going to help shift this planet. It's not my ideas that are going to create a better tomorrow. It's our ideas that will create a better tomorrow. Because I have but a fraction of an idea of what is even happening on this planet or going on in this planet or where we're going to head in this planet. I'm a tiny little minuscule little atom of consciousness, and so are you, and so is everyone else, and collectively we are a collective consciousness. We are the human family, and we have the ability to develop skills and tools and ways of being that are incredibly helpful to be in dialogue with each other, when we can be open-minded, when we can learn emotional intelligence and we can learn nonviolent communication skills, when we can learn how to actually research our own beliefs and speak to them from an educated place, how we can look into research and look at things like peer reviews and look at opposing blueprints and see what is actually going on from as well-rounded a perspective as we can possibly get, so that when we engage in a conversation, we can bring that perspective and the person across from us can be enlightened from that, or they can respond to some of that perspective and give us a whole new door to unlock that we can then go on and explore for ourselves. It's important that we catch our inherent bias because there's no way around it. I believe with everything that I do, I'm creating a better world. There are people who disagree with me. There are people who think that because I'm not vegan, I shouldn't be listened to. There are people who believe because because I do plant medicine, that I'm less spiritual than they are because they don't need any sort of substance to connect to source or whatever it is, right? Like I'm doing what I think is best for the world that I want to see. that I think is more loving and more prosperous and works for more people to be in their joy. But it's still just my ideas and my opinion. If they resonate with you, then great. My hope is that you explore them for yourself, and that you, if you choose to adopt them as your worldview, that you don't make it mean that you're better than anyone else. In fact, all of the things that I've come to understand about this world and the lens that I view life has actually helped me feel less elitist. It has helped me feel less like I'm better than people. It's helped me feel more connected, more open-minded. And so as a community, we get to do this. As a community, in personal development, in the new age spirituality, we get to hold ourselves to a really high standard. We get to be the change we wish to see. And that starts with every action that we take. The next person we have a conversation with, the next text message we send, the next WhatsApp message that we choose to send. Because it's time for us to stop with this hierarchy, and it's time for us to truly embrace a worldview that allows us to be in connection even when we're in disagreement. That is the evolution of consciousness. That is the awareness. That is the choice that we can now make when we have the awareness of the change that is happening in us and around us. Be the change you wish to see. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking action on this. I want to remind you to share this out with anyone you think might benefit. There's a lot of arguing going on out there right now, so I think a lot of people could. And hopefully this inspires some heart-centered communication. And I want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved.